there. So today we are going to make a crossbody bag from Country Cow Designs that I've had the pattern for a couple of years now, and I was really excited for when this pattern came out. I've made it once before, and we're going to make it together today. So this is the Meridias Crossbody Bag from Country Cow Designs. And before I forget, because I do that, hi, I'm Teresa from Tree60 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my sewing studio. So this is the bag we're going to be making today. It is the Meridias Crossbody Bag from Country Cow Designs. It's this beautiful shoulder bag that has an equestrian look. It has a saddlebag look to it. It has a beautiful zipper pocket on the back. That is lots of room to put your keys or your lip gloss or lip balm or whatever else you needed. It is not big enough for a phone. The exterior fabric that I did use, this waterproof nylon, is from Sam Fabric Creations in Quebec. This gorgeous burnt orange pumpkin is Emmeline Bag's new Prairie Faux leather, and this is Wood Lily, the color Wood Lily, and it goes beautiful with these fuchsia color roses from Sam Fabric Creations. But look at this gorgeous detail. First of all, I have rose gold hardware. We have O-rings on each side. This strap is featured with the same fabric that I have done for the flap, and the flap continues on to the back, so it has that wraparound look. Gorgeous, gorgeous look. And this is a really unique strap construction. Just to disclaimer, I messed it up during the tutorial. I had to edit it out, and I have added the strap construction, the grab handle construction, and the strap construction at the end of the video. So I'm going to hopefully be able, I'm editing it out and make sure that you don't see the mistakes that I made first constructing this. But the grab handle is a really cool construction. We have a feature of these strap ends. This is all 3/4 hardware that it calls for. The only 3/4 inch hardware I had for the strap ends was antique brass. Everything else is rose gold, but I had 1 inch rectangle rings, so I use that, and I have a 1 inch very thin tri-glide strap adjuster. But look at the features of this. Like I said, it has a very equestrian look to it, and the strap ends are a feature design. And look at how this continues on down and around the base of the bag as a gorgeous, gorgeous accented feature. So this bag, as I said, it has a zip pocket in the back, not a very large zip pocket. I mean, my hand can just barely get in. And then the flip, it has a flip pocket, the flap flips up with a magnetic closure. The bag, the interior lining I have used is waterproof canvas with PVC backing, and it's about a 600 denier. This waterproof nylon has a PVC backing from Sam Fabric, and it's about a 400 denier. This is also from Sam Fabric Creations as well. So the pattern calls for a zipper pocket on the inside. I added my own slip pocket on the inside so I could slip my phone in there as well. Now, watch the pattern if you have a metal bag tag or a special bag tag that you want to add on to the exterior. The pattern didn't say where would be a good place to add it on. Typically I add my bag tags, my metal bag tags, onto the front. This front of the panel would be a perfect place to feature your say a special feature of your fabric or embroider on the front. So I wouldn't want to take away from that. And then I was going to put the bag tag here and forgot because I didn't write it on my pattern. So I wound up just above the slip pocket sewing in my sew-in bag tag from the Spotted Zebra in Alberta. So this has lots of room inside. The construction and design of this bag is just absolutely amazing. Pay really, really close attention to the pattern as far as making the strap handles. So come and hang out with me and let's make this bag together, the Meridias Crossbody Bag from Country Cow Designs. And welcome back. So we are doing the Meridias Crossbody from Country Cow Designs today. Frankie is here for the moment to help. She's checking out the window. It's early in the morning and it's nice and cool. So this is the Meridias Crossbody from Country Cow Designs. And I've had this pattern for quite some time. I've made one before. I think I've probably had it for about 2 years now. And I like to focus on patterns that aren't well known or haven't really been done a lot. So with the Meridias Crossbody, this is the this is from Sam Fabric Creation, and this is the feature fabric. So this is the flap fabric, and it's a really beautiful tan, orangey tan with fuchsia pink roses on it, and then the underside will be that as well. I have already interfaced it. I can't iron it on. This is the Emmeline bag EB Fuse heavy woven. I can't iron it on because this has a PVC backing, so I have used double-sided tape, and it's only interfaced on the one side. So this is the feature fabric. So this is going to be the flap, it's going to be the strap handle, and the accent piece going around the bottom base of the bag. And the interior, because I only had so much fabric, I'm kind of trying to use up what I actually have. So this is going to be the interior lining. This is from Sam Fabric Creation as well. So it has the same colors, antique rose, and it has that PVC back. So this is a little heavier. It's a waterproof canvas with the PVC back. I'm not interfacing the lining at all. Now check this out. This is the exterior base. This is the new Prairie faux leather collection from Emmeline Bags. This is Wood Lily, the color Wood Lily. And that is absolutely gorgeous. So with the feature fabric, this is going to go together so very well. And I already have all my pieces all interfaced with foam. I have all my centers marked. The zippers I'm going to be using is Zipper by the Yard from Temu. This is a corally color zipper by the Yard with gold teeth, and the zipper pulls number 5 are gold that came with this, because this particular one, the teeth on it are pointed like shark teeth. So your regular zipper pulls that you get from anywhere else aren't going to fit this. So that's why I have to stick with gold. The hardware I'm using is rose gold. However, I don't have 3/4 inch strap ends, so I am going to be using the antique brass. And that's about it. So let's get everything together, get your pattern, and we will see you back, and we'll get this bag started. Alrighty, so 2 things I forgot to mention. The thread that I'm using at the moment in my Jack industrial sewing machine is the Gutermann outdoor upholstery thread that has UV protection, and it's in dark brown. I don't know if I'm going to have enough left on my spool, but when I do run out of that, then I'll switch to Gutermann heavy duty dark brown. And it's the same tex weight. It's pretty heavy duty. It looks like it's a 70 tex weight. So, and then the second thing is, I'm wearing my Jeannie's Designs It's a Beautiful Thing t-shirt. So check out Barbie's website, jeanniebags.com. And I'm not sure if she still has these for sale. I've had this for some time and I couldn't find it for the longest time. And all of a sudden it appeared. So yeah, I'm wearing my Jeannie's Designs It's a Beautiful Thing t-shirt. So the first piece that we're going to be working on is your piece D. It's all of your D pieces that have been put together. It's the strap base. So what we're going to be doing is I have everything marked. I've got my mark down the center, and I have my 1/8 inch double-sided tape all down either side. So we're just going to be folding that. Let me just move you guys. And we're trying out this new setup because I've got some lights here that I'm trying to make sure you don't see and don't get into the camera. And I think everything's good. And I also, oh, check this out. For my tablet, look at this. I got a Bluetooth keyboard, and it's backlit, which I wanted, and it changes color. And check this out. It goes purple. And also a backlit mouse so that I can maneuver my my tablet more so like a PC, which suits me just fine. So I'm just going to move you guys over. Alrighty, so I'm just going to just take the double-sided tape off the one side. We're going to fold the raw edges into the center. And then we're going to sew at 1/4 inch seam allowance, because when this gets sewn onto the base, it will be sewn at 1/8 inch seam allowance, and then you'll have like a double, a nice double stitching detail. So right now it's Monday morning and we have the golf course somewhere in behind us through the bush. It's a little dark out. The mornings are getting are darker, and it's cool, very cool out this morning. Actually, it's about 12 degrees Celsius. So that's like 24, that's like 50 something Fahrenheit, I think, but it's so wonderful. And of course we have all the golf course equipment, and I'm hoping that today they don't decide, because I was planning on doing this last week, and I'm hoping that the arborists do not come back and decide to cut down more trees behind us, which we have a bazillion of, like really, really old, tall maples, ash trees. They're taking down, they told us that they were going to be taking down at least 25 or 30 ash trees behind us because of the ash borer beetle, I guess. And pretty much a lot of them are dead. And a lot of trees, with the high winds that we get off of Georgian Bay, we are getting, we get a lot of trees falling and of course dropping onto our property and our house. All right, so I'm just going to top stitch. I've already folded in the edges into the center, and I'm just going to top stitch on both sides, 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to start from the top and I'll work my way down the bottom, and then, so as to not create twisting, then I will start back on this end and work my way down the other side. And that stops the twisting happening. Remember to, oh, I better take my flip-flops off because I can't fit underneath my sewing machine. All right. Murphy may come to visit. He usually does. Frankie will come and go as she pleases. Especially with the critters we get back here. Murphy heard his name. Okay, so I've done the one side at 1/4 inch, and what that is also doing is it's capturing this edge so that it's not going to be wide open. So I'm going to start back at the top on this side where, for the other 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, there we have it, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the next step is that we now have our strap base top stitch 1/4 of an inch on either side, seam allowance. And then we're going to turn the strap base so it's right side up. No, sorry, wrong side up, so the raw edge is showing. And then we're going to mark a certain measurement from each end that's in the pattern. So there's a specific measurement that you have to mark on the wrong side. And I'm following the pattern here. Okay, so there's my first mark. And I've already marked this one just so I knew what I was doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's our mark on one end, and there's our mark. Where is it? Oh, there it is on the other end. Alrighty, so then we turn the strap base. Okay, so then slide an O-ring onto each end. And then with some double-sided tape, and I'm going to use 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape. And just put it on each end like this. Just a piece, just to hold it in place. And then we're going to take the double-sided tape backing off. I think you guys can see this. If I can get the backing off, that's always seems to be the hardest thing with double-sided tape. Sometimes it comes off easy and sometimes it just doesn't want to. Okay. And it peels off the fabric, of course. All right. Okay, so fold the strap back to where the mark is. So we're taking the raw edge and we're folding it up to this line on both sides, making sure that your edges are even. And the double-sided tape will help it stay in place. Okay, so that's one end that's done. And we'll do the other side. And then just fold that edge right up to that one mark that we made on the wrong side. And fold back. The miracle of double-sided tape. Okay, so this is what we have so far. On the wrong side, 1 O-ring and 1 O-ring to that mark. Okay, and then we're going to turn the strap base over so that right side is now up. And on each end, measure and mark a certain measurement down from the fold. So from this fold, we're going to mark a certain measurement down from the fold to here on both ends. So make sure that you have your strap pulled so that it's not popped up into, you know, that there's a loop in your O-ring here. And I am going to use my pen but I'll just use it lightly. Unfortunately, my gel pen doesn't want to work on this fabric. And my removable marker doesn't want to work either. So I find that a gel pen works really, really well. Okay, so we have our marks just there and there. Now we're going to take our exterior piece B, and I already have my foam stabilizer double-sided taped onto here. And you take the exterior gusset and it's right side up. and you mark, there's a certain mark that you make on each end. So I've already made my marks right there, just in pencil, very, very lightly. Okay. And using double-sided tape, attach the strap to the exterior gusset. So I'm going to run 1/4 inch double-sided tape all the way up the wrong side of the strap, of the base strap. And this will meet. So when you put the strap on, you'll line up your O-ring to that mark that you made here on the exterior, and they will both line up perfectly. So I'm just going to put some double-sided tape on the wrong side, and I'm going to use 1/4 inch. That's the thickest I have. I don't have anything. I'm not going to go right to the end though. I believe that there's some stitching that we have to do. So I'm just going to move it down about 1 inch from the O-ring and the fold. Fall is definitely in the air here, I'll tell you. School starts, I believe, for our kids. Today's the 25th. I think our kids start on Tuesday, September 2nd. Holy smokes, time is going fast. Okay, so I'm going to take my exterior base, this gorgeous Prairie wood lily, and I'm going to line up my ends where the O-ring is. And I'm going to match those, and I'm going to make sure that this base strap is centered in between the top and the bottom of the gusset so that it's not sitting wonky. And that's where the double-sided tape will come in handy to make sure that when you measure, that you can measure from all points to make sure that it's accurate. Oh, pretty good eyeballing so far. That's pretty good. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Doesn't that look gorgeous? With the fuchsia pink and the pumpkin colors right in this feature waterproof nylon with the wood lily prairie faux leather. All right, so this is what we have so far. And then we are going to sew, okay. And, okay, so there's a, so we've made, don't forget, we've made this mark already on the right side on both ends. So now we are going to sew 1/8 inch. We're going to sew across this mark, down the side 1/8 inch. We're going to go to the mark here and then across and up. And that's what we're going to sew right now. I'm going to pull my threads to the back, and then I'll show you how that's done, just for those people, like if we have, I know we do have seasoned bag makers, and I appreciate you guys being here, but we also may have some brand new bag makers. So some of these skills I didn't know anything about back when I started 2.5 years ago. And I think it's important just to take take some time just to show people how it's done, even if you may know how it's done. Just in case somebody here might be new, who knows, somebody could be watching this video 5 years from now. And make sure that when you do your pivot point as well, when I'm going to turn this so that the gusset goes this way, so that you don't get the skip stitches across the corners, make sure your needle is on the way up, but not out of your fabric before you lift your presser foot and pivot. And then I'm going to sew 1/8 inch seam allowance down this side. And I hope my bobbin lasts, because it might be close to the end. Keep an eye on that. And right now I'm sewing through all the foam. Now this pattern is made for, it's written also for domestic sewing machines. So you just have to choose your pattern and your fabric, or choose your fabrics wisely if you have a domestic sewing machine, so that you know what your sewing machine can handle. All right, so I just raised that to pivot across. Down. Oops, one more stitch. Okay, so right now I have, where I started, I have the top thread and the bobbin thread. I'm just going to grab the bobbin thread and I'm going to give it a bit of a tug, and it'll pull a loop up underneath. When I take my pointy, anything pointy, and grab it and pull it to the underneath, that is my top, and that's my thread there. I'm just going to tie it off so I know which ones that I have already pulled. And then I'm going to stitch to the end. Get right into that last stitch. Pivot one over. Okay, and then I'm going to leave my tails long, hang on to them. So these are the tails that I already pulled to the back for where I started. Here is my top thread, and here is my bobbin thread from where I ended. So I'm going to take this bobbin thread. Don't worry about these guys that you've already taken care of. And I tie a knot in them so that I know which ones I've already pulled through, because I'll tell you, when I first started doing this, I got very, very confused. All right, so take your bobbin thread, give it a bit of a tug, and there will be a little tiny loop here, just here. Stick your stylus in there and pull it. So now you have the top and the bottom thread from where you started and where you ended. And then you're just going to take them and you're just going to tie them in a knot from underneath. And what this does is it prevents you from seeing any back stitching on the top and ruining the actual look of your bag. It just gives it a cleaner, more professional finish. When I tie my knots, I always tie a double knot in the same hole. Okay, and I just tie them off or cut them off, and then just take my lighter to burn the ends just to seal them. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have our double row of stitching, and we have now attached the O-rings to, and our base. That's going to be so pretty. So we've already done this, and we'll see what the next step is. All right, so now we are going to install our double cap rivets on each end to hold this in place, because this is going to be a stress point. So we're going to be putting a double cap rivet here and here. There's a certain measurement in the pattern. And then on the other end, here and here. And I've already marked my, my marks as per the pattern, the measurement. So I'm going to take my hole punch and punch through everything, centering it all. Now, one of the things also is, because this top fabric, this feature fabric, could have a potential of fraying, I'm just going to use some Dritz fray check to ensure, to help it, to ensure it doesn't fray. Pop this all the way through. And I'm catching the second rivet that has the longer measurement. I'm catching that on the, so there's the holes. Oops, get that up there. So there's one hole, and I'm catching this side just on this side. The stitching's across here, just on this side of the stitching. So this is the Dritz Fray Check I got from Amazon. This is unscented, by the way. The first bottle I had that lasted me forever was not unscented, and it was extreme. I found it very fragrant, which bothers me because I do have a scent allergy. So you can get unscented Fray Check on Amazon. So all I did was I just popped a little drop in each hole, and it will come through to the other side, which is fine. And then I'm going to pop my double cap rivets. I have the rose gold, and I'll pop them in each one. And you can tell that they go in when you hear that little snap. It's almost time for another coffee. Okay, so then I'm just going to come over here. I think you can see it. And I'm just going to press it here because this table is more solid than my sewing desk. And I just want to make sure that I get a good press on these to set them. This is going to look so pretty. And of course, like I said, fall is almost here. We have the leaves falling like crazy, but more so because of the drought that we've had all summer. But this is going to have a really nice autumn look to it. So there, like, look at how cool that looks. I just wish that I had zipper pulls for the zipper tape that matched, that was rose gold, and my strap ends. But like I said, I'm kind of using up fabric that I have, so that's why my feature fabric doesn't match my lining. But you know what? It all coordinates together. Alrighty, so we've done this part. I'll be back with the next step. All right, so now we are going to be working on our flap and the zipper pocket on the back of the flap, which is the back of the bag. So you're going to need your piece C, which is the flap, and you have your feature panel as well as the lining. Now the lining panel and my feature are both the same. And then the lining has your stabilizer or foam on it. So I'm just going to set that aside for the moment, and we're going to be needing panel, the feature part of panel C. And then you're also going to need your piece F, which is your flap pocket facing. You're going to need your piece G, which is your flap pocket lining pieces that we're going to make the pocket out of. You're going to need your smaller measurement of your zipper. That's the two measurements are in the pattern. And you're going to need your zipper pull, but we're not putting the zipper pull on at the moment. So what we're going to be doing is on the feature, which is the flap without any lining, I've marked my centers on the long edge. I've also marked the center of the actual flap, and now we're going to be working on the back side. So there is a measurement from the center. So this is the back side, and this is the front side of the flap. So I've marked the center mark, and then a certain measurement from the center mark heading towards the back end of the flap. There is a line that you draw. And then your pattern piece F, which is your flap pocket facing, there's a certain measurement in the pattern where you make a rectangle on the wrong side of the fabric, and then you mark your center. And what you're going to do is you're going to line up, you're going to put the right side of your facing together with the right side of your flap feature. And you're going to line up that center mark with the center where the line is that you drew, because there's a certain measurement for a line that you draw when you, I'm going to do it this way. Okay. So the center of the flap, and then there's a certain measurement to mark down to here, and then there's a certain measurement to mark a horizontal line going this way. Then you're going to take the wrong, you're going to have the wrong side up of your zipper facing, and you're going to line up that center notch with the line that you just drew and with the center mark on your feature. And I'm going to use, now she says pin it. Now pinning's okay if you're using cotton, but I'm using a waterproof nylon. So I'm going to use, now painter's tape does not hold very well, but it will hold until I need it. So I'm going to line up my center mark with the center mark that I made a certain measurement down from the dead center. And I've lined up the raw edge with the line that we drew. And I'm just going to put the painter's tape on either end just to hold it in place. Oh, I just ripped it. Holy smokes. Oh, stuck all over me. Okay, let me get another piece. Let's try this again. I had to close my windows. It was getting cold. And I'm only in shorts right now and a t-shirt. I might have to go put a sweatshirt on and some track pants. All right, so I'm just going to lay the painter's tape down. This is very slippery, so just make sure that it doesn't move. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to then stitch around this entire box, rectangle, and that'll sew this facing down onto the lining there. Now I'm just going to lower my stitch length because I like having a small stitch length when I go around a zipper box. It's not turning for some reason. There we go. This is awkward how I have to change my my stitch length. To go backwards, I have to push this button, lower the reverse, the back stitch, and click it into place. It's really, that's why I don't change my stitch length very often. It's extremely convoluted. So I'm just going to stitch around this rectangle box, and I'm not worrying about pulling my threads to the back. I'll stop and, I'll back stitch. I'm having a hard time seeing where I'm going. Don't forget to make sure that when you pivot, you lift your needle a bit. And I've got to be careful because this this PVC sticks to the bed of the sewing machine, and it doesn't move as well as it should. So I've got to watch that. Now I should have drawn a line down the center because we will be cutting down the center line of this box. But I think we can all pretty much judge the center. And I'm going to come up to that corner, my last corner, and then I'm going to back stitch. Okay. Cut my threads. All right. So now we have, get rid of the painter's tape. I'm sure I'm going to need it again. Stick it here. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So this is how the flap is going to look. There's the front of it, and that's going to be the back, okay? So this is what we have right now. We've sewn this on the wrong way. And I'm just going to fold it in half just so to make sure that my stitch lines meet. And I'm just going to make a little slit in the center. Okay. So I've got a little slit in the center. So I'm going to carefully cut all the way up to about maybe 1/2 inch. And then at this point, I'm going to veer off into each corner and make a V or a Y. And I'll do that on both sides. And when I cut into the corners, into each corner, I make sure that I do not cut the stitching. I've done that before and I've had to sew it over again. Okay, now I don't have cotton, so I can't iron this because this is waterproof nylon, and it's also, it'll melt because of this PVC backing. So I'm just finger pressing this right now along the stitch lines. But what I do is I'll take a 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'll put it on both, right up against the raw edges on both sides, long sides of the facing. And then what you have to do is then, this is the part that I find the most difficult. You shove everything to the wrong side, and then I'm just going to work on one edge, and you have to pull that facing through to the wrong side and make sure that you get your edges really nice and crisp. But see how difficult that is? It doesn't want to stay. Okay. Wow, today's the day that all the machinery is going. All right, so we have this. It's not tacked down. So what I'm going to do with the double-sided tape is I'm taking off the one side, the one backing side, and I'm going to work on the one edge to make sure that I have a nice crisp edge so that you don't see any edges that aren't even on the right side of the facing here, the lining flap. And the double-sided tape, it holds it down and it works the best. This is the method that I have found works the best. And you can always check it from the other side just to make sure that you don't see any edges that don't look right, and then you can adjust. Okay. All right, and then I'll do the same for this side. Yeah. Of all the days to record, eh? The day that everybody and their machinery and their dog is making noise outside of my windows. Holy moly. And I have all the windows closed at this point because it's so cold. It's become so cold. Okay, I'm just going to press that down and see how that looks on both sides. And then I'm just going to take a little tiny piece on either end. So right now on the wrong side, I have the two long edges taped down, and I'm just going to take a little piece on the for the ends, and make sure that the ends, because the one thing that's what I find the hardest is to get those corners nice and neat and tidy without any puckers. And this is the only way that I have found that it seems to work. Okay, almost there. Okay. So this is what we have showing on the wrong side. And this is what we have showing on the right side. And then I can just take my nails and kind of finger press this down so that it's a little more crisper on the edge. And I will take an eraser. I do have my pencil line going across here from when I did line up that facing. I used a pencil, so I can take my eraser and erase that afterwards. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take our pattern piece G, which is our flap pocket. And we've marked our center on the short zipper. We have two zippers. They're not too far off in the measurement. And I've marked the centers. And I've marked the centers on the top of my zipper lining. So we're going to do right sides up. And I'll take my 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape and run it across the top edge of the one lining. And then I'm going to lay my zipper tape right side up, because when we open it, and I'm going to line the top edge of the zipper tape along the top edge of that lining. Because when we have the zipper sitting this way on the back, when we look inside, we want to see the right side of the lining. And we're just going to do a scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance just to sew this on. Oh, I didn't increase my stitch length. That's okay. Okay, and then we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to run a piece of double-sided tape across the top. Everything's sticking to my table. Just run another piece across the top here. And then we'll take the other side of the zipper and lay it over top. So right now we have both lining pieces, zipper pocket lining pieces, right sides together. And I don't have my zipper pull on at this point in time because it's just easier to sew it without the zipper pull on. And I'll sew that again at a scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. All right, I will be back with the next step. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have our zipper teeth right side up, the zipper teeth up, and our two pocket linings are right sides together, so that when you do open up your zipper and you look inside, you're going to see the two right sides together. So now we're going to put on our zipper pull. And when you look at your zipper, you're going to see one teeth is probably sitting higher than the other. That's the side you typically feed it on first, and then pull the other side up apart a bit, and then feed that side on. Now this is going to be hard for me to do this because I'm doing it backwards. So right now you see that your zipper is sitting wonky. Your zipper pull is sitting wonky in your zipper, and your teeth are not lined up. So keep your finger on the top of your zipper pull so you don't lose it. And then I just take the zipper teeth and I kind of line them up down below, and I gently move the one side that's off on the zipper pull, and I move that up so that everything is lined up, and then it should very easily push on to here, and then you can pull the zipper pull down. I might have to put this down on my desk. And there you do. There you have it. You've got your zipper pull on without any bulge, without one side bulging up than the other side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have it so that the zipper pull closes to the left, going this way. And then you flatten out these edges of the zipper that are popping up. Now this is hard. This is not working great for me because this is waterproof canvas or nylon. So I'm just going to finger press these to flatten them out as best as I can. It's easier for me on the underside where the right side of the fabric is. All right, so that's a little better. And I'm just going to take some double-sided tape and I'm just going to run it across the top of this edge and the bottom of this edge. On the right side of the zipper. Okay, and still orient it so that your zipper pull is pulling to the left. Okay, and then we're going to take our feature panel, okay, and we're going to make sure that we have that this is the front of the flap and this is the back of the flap, okay? So we want the back of the flap to be on the bottom so that when I lay this over top of the zipper, it's going to look like this, so that the zipper pocket goes down, okay? So your zipper pieces, are your zipper pocket linings are still both open. I'm going to remove just the top of the double-sided tape, the backing of the double-sided tape. I'm going to take this part of the zipper panel, or the zipper facing, and I'm going to line it up with the zipper. Now, what you should have is your facing edge that you made the zipper pocket or the zipper hole. It should line up with the edge of your material. They should all line up evenly. So that's the beauty of double-sided tape, because then you can move things around. And I find it best to center the zipper teeth on the ends of the zipper hole there, the zipper facing. Just check from underneath to make sure it's fairly even. It's got to come over a bit. So I find it easier to, here on the short edge, to center the teeth in between here and on this side as well. And then you can adjust the top part where you have your double-sided tape exposed. Just want to make sure that's even. Yeah, okay, looks good on the back. And then you're going to remove the double-sided tape on the bottom edge of the zipper. And then you're just going to lay your other part of your zipper facing window over top of your teeth. And the beauty of the double-sided tape is you can make sure that everything lines up evenly. And with the back side, with both edges, with both pocket facings open, we are going to stitch around this box to hold the zipper into place. At 1/8 seam allowance on the along the edge of the zipper facing there. And I will be tying my tails to the back. I'm just going to, just leave that there. Make sure your needle's on the way up to pivot. And make sure your edges are flat and crisp. When I get to my zipper pull, I'm going to make sure that my needle is down because my zipper pull's in the way for me to stitch around. So my needle is down. I'm going to lift my presser foot and I'm going to move the zipper out of the way so it's not in the way of my stitching. Okay, now here I just want to tie those ends to the back. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to back stitch over top of my my zipper just to make sure it stays in place. I changed my mind. I'm allowed. Okay, my zipper pull's coming into the way now, and I'm just going to keep my needle down, lift my presser foot, and move the zipper pull out of the way. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back over the zipper. That end doesn't look very good. To redo that. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to take the lighter to those ends. Okay. All right. This is what this is the way you want to look at it. So this is what we have so far. Okay. Now we're going to flip it to the wrong side up. And we're going to fold the top of the pockets. It's hard to see because this is black on the underside. So we're going to fold the top. I'm just going to move my zipper to the center. And you're going to see that one edge is shorter than the other. And that's okay, that's normal. So what we want to do is just clip the top edges up here so that we know that they're together and they're not going to move. So we're going to be sewing this anyways. And then just take our scissors, because we not only want to trim this edge off that's too long, making sure we don't cut the flap, but we also want to trim the corners off so that it follows the line of the curve, so that we're not going to be sewing that into the seam allowance. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is then I'll just clip. And then we're going to sew this shut from here all the way around. But what we do when we do stitch it is we're going to have the right side up. We're going to pull back the feature flap. Now you're going to see some double-sided tape now. Remove that now because you don't want that in the way of any of your presser foot. It will stick and your stitching will definitely go wonky. So this peels off really, really well. Just pull off these little ends that you can see, and that will be in the way of your stitch line on both sides. Do that. They were there for a purpose initially, but now we don't need to have them there. And when we stitch, So we're going to have it like this. We're going to fold over the side, and we're going to stitch down from the top all the way down here and follow the edge. And hopefully we will catch these little triangles in our stitch line. You can start from up here and stitch all the way down along this edge, catching those little triangles so that they don't go popping out onto the right side. And then you can go off on an angle and then stitch around here 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then when you get to this side, you pull it back as well. And then when you come up this side, then you can graduate over. You can come up this side and then gradually make it over here so that you catch this in here and then stitch up there. Now let's hope that this doesn't get caught on the bed of my sewing machine, this fabric. And what I'm also going to do is I'm also going to make sure that I go over those zipper teeth a couple of times. Okay, so I've gone over, I caught that corner, that little triangle. So now I'm going to start veering off more towards making a quarter of an inch seam allowance. Let me get over my zipper. Okay, now down the one edge of the cutoff corner and across the bottom. Okay, so I'm coming up the other side, and as I get close to that facing, I'm going to start veering off so that I can get right up against that seam, the folded edge, so I can catch that corner in there, go over the zipper teeth a couple of times. Doesn't have to look pretty on the underside. So that's what we have on the underside. So you can see where I caught, well, you can see here where I've caught the little triangles on both sides. And that just helps to prevent them from popping through on the right side. And then I veered down to 1/4 of an inch. And what you have now is when you look into that exterior back pocket, you now look at the lining that matches your feature fabric. And then I'm just going to take the lighter, and I'm just going to put the lighter to the ends of these the zipper tape, because this does seem to fray quite a bit. All right. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so for this portion, we are going to need the male part of your magnetic snap and one washer. You're going to need your feature flap, that part of the flap that we just put the zipper pocket in. And then we're going to need the lining of your flap, where you already have your, so wherever you have your stabilizer and or foam. So initially when I first showed you this, I had just put some Emmeline bag EB Fuse heavy woven interfacing on here, but I wanted this to be a little firmer. It wasn't firm enough, so I added some foam. And the foam that I'm using is the Annie Soft and Steady, I think it's called. Sorry, don't quote me. It's the sew-in kind, so it's not fusible. So what I do to fuse it, I just run double-sided tape down and I stick it on with that. So what you're going to need to determine is, depending on what your fabric is, and if you have a directional print, you need to determine what is going to be the front of your pocket. So this is going to be the inside. The lining is the inside. You're going to need to determine what is your front and what is your back. So we've already determined that on the feature panel, because we've got on the back the zipper pocket. And then on your underside for the lining, you have to determine what's going to be the front and what's the back. And when you determine that, make sure you mark it so that you keep that in your mind. So I've got this as my front, this is our feature, and then I have it marked down here with a B for the back. And same with the lining, I have that as the front and the back. So now what we're going to do is on the lining, the lining side of your flap, you're going to mark the center on the front of the lining, because that's going to be like this. Okay, so on the front of your lining, you're just going to make a center mark. And then there's a certain measurement in the pattern where you measure up from the center mark and make a dot. And that's where we're going to install our male magnetic snap. So I've already got the dot. I'm going to line up my washer with this. I'm going to line up the center hole with that dot. And I'm just going to make my vertical lines to so I know where I'm going to slit it. And I'm just going to cut my slits where I've marked the lines. And just be very, very careful, first of all, that you don't cut yourself from underneath, because I have done that, or that you don't overshoot the lines. So typically what I also do is, I already have foam here, so I don't need to reinforce this any more than it needs to be at this point in time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fray check, and where I have made those slits, I'm just going to put a drop there on the right side so that there's no chance of fraying. And I'm going to feed my male part of the snap, of the magnetic snap, through the slits. And I'm going to put my washer over top of that. And I'm going to splay the prongs out. Now they don't sit flush, so all I do is I just push them up against my desk just to flatten them, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is to make sure that this doesn't rub on the feature fabric that will be on top. I'm just going to cut a piece of duct tape just to cover that and help to stabilize it as well, and just stick it over top of those prongs, and that will also help to stabilize the magnetic snap. Okay, so we place the lining flap right side up on the back end. Okay, so the lining side of our flap, we have the front, which has the magnetic snap, the male magnetic snap, and the back, which is flat right at the moment. So in the pattern, there is a measurement to measure up from the center of the back part of your lining. And there's a certain measurement to measure up here and to here. And then from the edge, there's a certain size that you're going to make a rectangle and draw it on here. And then what we're going to do is, right now, we're going to stitch around that rectangle. Okay. Ooh. Oh, there goes Murphy. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to stitch around the rectangle, and you can back stitch when you stop and end. It doesn't have to be super neat, but just follow the rectangle that we have drawn. This is going to be the turning hole for the flap. And you won't see it. It's going to be covered by, it's going to wind up being covered. Just like if you've done the necessary clutch wallet from Emmeline Bags, the NCW, it has the same kind of deal in with their big flap as well. Okay, box isn't perfectly square, but nobody's going to see it. Okay, so there we have it. We've got a box stitched on the back part, the back end of the flap. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut a hole into it because we're going to make a big X. So I'm just going to cut from the center to the corner, not cutting the stitching, and right across to the other corner. And it doesn't have to be neat. Nobody's going to see this. Like I said, it's going to be the turning hole. Cut through everything. Okay, so this is what we have, a nice big X, a nice big hole. And what we're going to now do is we're going to take our lining and our feature, which has the back zip pocket, and we're going to place them right sides together. So your fronts should be right side together. So your front at this end has the magnetic snap, and this front doesn't have anything. And then on this side, the back has your zipper pocket with where the turning hole is. And what we're going to do is we're going to clip it all together, matching the centers. Matching everything, making sure that everything lines up, because especially for me, my cutting isn't the best. Just lining up my ends. And then what we're going to do is then we're going to sew, after I get it all clipped, then I'm going to sew right along the edge of this foam all the way around. And then we'll be back after I've done that, because it's going to take time to clip it. And then I have to sew carefully all around here. And then we'll be back when I finish sewing it. All right, so this is what we have now. We have the right sides sewn together. And it's hard to see, but it's all stitched around, because when I stitched it, I followed the line of the foam. And I'm just going to take my pinking shears and trim off all around the curves on both ends, just to reduce the bulk. Now, if you don't have pinking shears, you can probably make little cuts, little V cuts in there, or just take your scissors and snip, you know, maybe 1/4 of an inch all around the curve, just to reduce some of that bulk, and then to help to turn the curves better. But make sure you don't cut your stitching. I need to oil my pinking shears. They feel pretty stiff. I think I might just use the pinking shears all the way around. Might as well, I'm heading that way anyway. And then after we finished using the pinking shears, then we turn this. We turn it, make sure all the edges are nice and straight, or nice looking and crisp. If you can iron it flat, that's great to get nice crisp edges on your flat. I can't iron it, so I do have a seam roller that I can use right here. But we'll see what happens. So now we take this big hole that we made, stick our hand up the center, and grab the other end and pull it through. It's like birthing a bag without the bag part. Those now. Okay, and then we just push everything out. Excuse me, looks like a mess right now. Push all your foam, all your edges. This waterproof nylon really turns nice. Like I said, this is from CherAnn Fabric Creation in Quebec. Just make sure when you're at this end that you flatten your zipper pocket on the inside, so it's not all squished up into a ball, so that you can make sure that when you open it, you can get stuff in it from the back. Okay. And all your foam pieces are sticking out. All right, so I'm going to get I use a broken off old knitting needle, and I just use that to kind of push out the edges, the seams, just to make sure that they all are nice and rounded and curved. Sorry, my ring keeps banging on my desk table here. And then what I can do is I can take the other end of the knitting needle and make sure to just kind of go in there and flatten it out as well. Get all the air out. And then I'm just going to take my seam roller, because I cannot iron this. Make sure everything is good. I just want to check my pocket just to make sure that that pocket lining is down and flat on the inside. So that's what that looks like now. This is a really nice bag. It's really the construction and the thought process that went into this is really amazing. Country Cow, clearly I have a lot of Country Cow design patterns, and they really, Joe and Adam have really outdone themselves with this bag, and it's just too bad there aren't as many tutorials on YouTube for it. Joe has a fabulous tutorial for this bag on YouTube. Really well done. So I'm just taking my seam roller, putting a little bit of elbow grease into it. Do it on both sides just to flatten the seams. Like I said, if I'd had cotton, and if I used cotton, then I would be able to iron this, but the seam roller does a good job too, and it flattens out those edges. It makes them a little crisper. Okay, so this is the underside. We're not ever going to see this again, because when it gets attached onto the main body, it will be covered. And then that's going to be our exterior. So that's the back. that'll go get attached onto the bag, and that's the front. This is going to look great. So I'm just going to, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to clip all the way around the perimeter, and then I'm going to do slightly larger than a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around the perimeter to top stitch, and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is what we have at this point in time. I have top stitched with a slightly generous 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all around. At the back, we're going to just covering, I just kind of covered it with the X, that X opening, and just put some double-sided tape on because we're going to need that to stick to one of your exterior back panel. And what we do also is mark your centers with the removable air erase marker. Mark your centers here. And then just above, 1/4 of an inch above your edge of your top of your zipper gusset hole, 1/4 of an inch up, draw a line across. And then on here, on your exterior, you're going to make a mark. It might be hard to see because this is the air erase, but I've got a little dot there, a measurement that's in the pattern, and you're going to line your center with that dot and use the double-sided tape to stick that onto, if I can get it off, stick it onto the bag, onto the exterior back panel. This double-sided tape doesn't stick very well to this waterproof nylon. That's the issue. Let me see if we can get it off this end. Usually I use a stylus to pick it off. Okay. Oops, there's a piece that didn't come off. Okay, so I have already marked my center on the bottom as well. And what we're going to do, I got to find that mark now. It's probably gone away. Okay, there it is. And I'm going to line it up with the dot that I made here, which is the certain measurement from here to here in the pattern. Line that center line up with the center. I have to mark my center again because it has disappeared on me. Great. It's gone away. Well, I can eyeball it. I can pretty well see it. Okay, and what we're going to make sure is, with the double-sided tape, we can move it, is that it's even between here and here, and it's centered all the way onto the back panel. So like I said before, that's the beauty of the double-sided tape. Looks like that could be my line there. Okay, and I'm just going to take my ruler and just make sure that it is the same distance here. Okay, this has got to come over a bit. Because the one thing is, you definitely want this to be centered. You don't want it looking wonky. And this will take a bit of time. Okay, so that from here, from this corner to this corner, it's even. And I'm just going to start at the curve here. Okay, the best way also is to look here, and I can see that my bottom is slightly out. Just turn it a bit. Okay, so as far as I can tell, I have the light in my eyes. It does look pretty centered. All right, and I'll be back with the next step. Okay, so we will be now stitching all the way around the perimeter at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then when you come up to this line that you drew just above your zipper, then we're going to stitch across that as well. And that will attach your flap onto your back panel. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was when I did sew around and top stitched around the flap, I did pull my threads to the back so that you didn't see any back stitching on the right side of it. So I'll be doing I'll be doing the same. Making sure that I pull the threads to the back. I guess I should have done a larger scant or larger 1/8 of an inch seam allowance before. But nice and slow because you've got those curves to go around. Like I said, this is a pretty cool design. It's a little complicated in areas, but if you go slow, just getting around those curves. Get the flap out of my way. Okay, so now I'm going to lift my needle slightly and I'm going to pivot so that I can now stitch straight across, and I've left my threads long, so I'm going to just pull those back right at the moment, the ones that I did leave. Just give them a quick tie so I know which ones I've already pulled through. Okay, and now I'm going to stitch across that line that we just drew. Oops, don't go too fast. Make sure you lift your other end of the flap where the magnetic snap is, because if you have a metal sewing bed here, it can get magnetized onto it and it'll mess up your stitching. And if you come close to the zipper pull like I have, put your needle down, lift your presser foot, and move your zipper out of the way. And straight across to the other side. And then I will go down a bit where I started my top stitching to meet up with my stitches. Just hand crank it. All right, perfect. Okay. And I'll tie my stitches. It's one thing about this heavy-duty thread. You can give it a good yank and it's not going to break like Gutermann Sewzall or anything that's a lighter weight. All right, so I'll just clip off those and I'll take my lighter to the ends. There we have it. We've got the back part of the flap onto, and that's the back feature of the bag. So when the front is on, it'll go like this. Isn't that pretty? That's really going to be pretty. And now I have to look in the pattern to find out where I'm going to be putting my bag tag. I should have put it on the front. I may not be putting a bag tag on this one. I should have looked. Maybe I might be able to put it right on the very bottom. We'll see. If I don't put one on, I don't put one on. All right, we'll be back with the next step. All right, so we need our front exterior panel. We need our bottom gusset that we've already created with the O-rings on. And then we need our flap panel that has been just attached onto the exterior back. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the female portion of the magnetic snap onto the exterior front panel. And in the pattern, there is a measurement to mark the spot where you're going to line up the center of the washer. And again, I'm not going to reinforce like I typically reinforce the underneath with a layer of duct tape first. Then I make my slits, put the prong on, put the magnetic snap on, and then cover it with duct tape. But I don't need to in this case because I have the foam. So I'm just going to make my slits. I don't have to use fray check because I have this faux leather, the Prairie faux leather from Emmeline Bags. So I'm just going to make my slits very carefully. Almost feels like my seam ripper's dull. Don't extend past those slits. It likes to stretch a bit. It has a bit of give. Okay, so I'm going to put my female portion of the snap in here. Put the washer on, splay the prongs open like a butterfly, and because they're not laying flat, I just kind of take each prong and push against the back. And then I'll take a piece of duct tape and cover that, a good portion of duct tape, Gorilla Tape, to cover that so that there isn't any rubbing and fraying to happen. So what it's going to look like is now this, when the two pieces join or are attached. We still have the gusset to put in, of course, but and everything should line up quite nicely when the gusset gets put in. So what I'm going to take a look at right now is if I can add my bag tag to just, see, ideally I would have liked to have had my bag tag here, but I'm going to have to make sure that I write that in on the pattern of where I can install a bag tag, or else I could have installed it here at the back. So there's two areas that it could have been installed. And I don't know if it'll look okay just down here, but it will get in the way of the stitching. So I may just have to forego doing a bag tag this time. But I do have sew-in faux leather bag tags, and I can do one of those on the inside of the bag. So I do have faux leather bag tags that I have from the Spotted Zebra on Etsy with my old logo on it. And I'll just make sure before I forget, I'll stick a piece of double-sided tape on the back because I can put that on the inside lining. Then at least my tag will be on and I won't have to worry about anything getting disrupted with any looks down here. But yeah, ideally, I would have liked to have had it, especially my metal bag tag. I would have liked to have had it somewhere here or here. So I'll have to make sure that I go in to the pattern afterwards and add that. All right, so now what we're going to be doing now is we are going to be taking, okay, I've done that. So now we're going to match the gusset. We're just going to put this piece aside for a second. We're going to match the right sides of the gusset to the front exterior. And we're going to clip at the bottom first. This will be a little out of whack because it won't look like it's going to meet, but it will all meet in the long run. So I've lined up, I'm lining up and going around the curve a bit on the bottom. And then I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to make sure your O-rings are out of the way and down. And then I'm going to line up the edges at the top and clip them into place so that they are lined up. Make sure I just put them up here too for security. One's broken or not. These break very easily, these Wonder Clips or not Wonder Clip knockoffs. And I'm just clipping it here at the top just to make sure that it stays, that it's secure. We won't be sewing along the top at the moment at all. Okay. Okay, so match the gusset center to the top. Your gusset will look a little smaller, but it'll be easy. So when we're going to have to ease these curves. They almost look like they're going to match perfectly. Maybe my cutting wasn't so bad. If they don't match, then you can make little snips into your facing, like your gusset, bottom gusset, and make sure everything matches so that when you do sew around, you don't get any puckers. But everything's matching up quite beautifully right now, which is nice. It's always wonderful when a pattern works out that way. There's no fighting with the edges. I have some double-sided tape there I'm going to have to pull off because I overshot the putting double-sided tape on to put the foam on. And I certainly don't want that in my stitch line because it will make it'll stick to my presser foot. Let me just check this side here. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this double-sided tape off here. Okay, just re-clip that. Okay, so now we have it all clipped together here. So with the seam allowance in the pattern, we're going to sew the gusset to the main panel, and then we're going to do a second row of stitching 1/16 of an inch behind the first within the seam allowance. So I'm going to do the seam allowance first, and then I'm going to do the additional stitching at this, and this extra stitching, she says, will reinforce the seam and stop your stitches from showing when the bag is finished. Alrighty, we will do this. I better shorten my seam, my stitch length. Be excited to see what this bag looks like. I remember the first one was just absolutely gorgeous. It's such a beautiful pattern. And in order to make sure you can get around these curves, you can move the facing around. It's not going to bunch, but just to kind of move the gusset around, just so it doesn't get caught on anything. And you can get some nice curves here. I used rose gold on the last one, and then I used Emmeline Bags waterproof canvas nightshade, I think it's called. It's beautiful. It's like a watercolor black background with watercolor purples and burnt oranges, watercolor floral. It's very pretty. And I think I used a bronze faux croco that I got from Amazon at that time. It's one of the first bags I actually made, really. In fact, it seems like all the first bags I made were Country Cow design bags. Like I said, I do have a lot of their patterns. They are good patterns. Okay, I'm just going to go around now with that second set of stitching. And that's within the seam allowance. This Prairie faux leather from Emmeline Bags is beautiful to work with. I thought the Mora was gorgeous to work with. This is really nice. It's it has a nice maneuverability with like the Mora does, and it's actually quite nice. And it is thicker. As I feel it, it is thicker than the Mora, but it also is firmer. Like there's more stability to it than the Mora has. And Country Cow Designs also sells Mora faux leather as well. They have different colors than what Emmeline Bags has. They have a lot. They've actually got, I think they even have I think one of their colors is very much similar to this wood lily of the Prairie faux leather. Okay, so there we have it. I'm just going to unclip these guys at the top. Okay, so I've done the second row of stitching and clip the center to the other side. So now we're going to attach this side, right sides together. We're getting a bag. It's getting there. It's going to be a little more difficult to maneuver this one because now we're dealing with that flap, and my flap is quite firm. All right, so we will just clip this all around. Okay, just line up these edges. I'm going to tuck this flap inside so it's out of the way. I might have to roll it up a bit. Lots of fun. Okay, let's just line up our tops here in our corners. Flap is fighting me. Really secure this top. Squish it if you have to. Like I said, this Prairie faux leather is quite maneuverable, and it does squish down if you need it to. Actually, she has it, so now that I have those ends, those tops clipped, I can pull the flap out and get it out of the way. Just when you sew it, just make sure that the flap is not caught in your stitching. Come on. Oh, the sun's coming out, but boy, is it ever cool today. Long pants, I had to change out of my shorts and long pants. I kept the t-shirt on because it gets warm in here when the sun does eventually swing around. So this does, like I said, this Prairie faux leather does have maneuverability. I haven't had to snip my gusset or the bottom gusset. It does work. Just here, I just have to snip. Let me just make sure I have that in secure. I just have to do a little bit of snipping just right here. So I'm just going to do like little 1/8 of an inch snips in the bottom gusset, just to help it ease around that one little, there's like a bit of a pucker there. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to stitch around this just like the other side, and I'm going to make sure that the flap is out of the way because it could get caught in there right up in this area. So I'll do the seam allowance, and then I'll do that 1/16 of an inch. Just want to make sure that those O-rings are well out of the way too. You have to make sure your O-rings are pulled out of the way, or else they'll get caught as well. Get rid of this, the double-sided tape that's in my way. Well, at least I have a walking foot. And push your gusset out of the way as you come around those curves. Make sure whenever you make a move that your needle is down so that you don't lose your spot and the needle doesn't come out of the fabric. Especially coming around those curves, you want to keep those curves as seamless and smooth as possible. Okay, I'm coming up to the other side, so I want to make sure that my O-ring is out of the way, that that flap is out of the way, that nothing's going to get in the way of my presser foot. You can hear the clicking. That's the double-sided tape I forgot to remove. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to do that 1/16 of an inch stitching around that edge to secure it. A little faster this time around. No clips to pull. Not as conscious of the corners or the curves. You get a workout doing the bags, I'll tell you. Like, it's not great having arthritis, especially in this thumb joint. And like I've said before, I've had both my had both wrists done for carpal tunnel. But it's more so this joint here, especially turning bags, because I use my thumbs for when I push the bag out after turning, so it gets a little sore. All right, let's just see where we're at. Okay, so this is where we're at now. We've sewn. We have the exterior almost done. Let's just turn it just to see how it looks. Oh, this is going to look great. Just want to see how it's going to look. It's not going to be perfect because I won't have all the edges pushed out or anything like that, but and all the curves won't be out all the way. It's a clangy bag, eh? With all the hardware on it. A lot of hardware on this bag. Look at that. Oops, it didn't pop out. Okay. So this is how the exterior is looking. I'm gonna line that up. Look at that. So far, there's the back, our nice zipper pocket at the back. It's not very big, but you know, it's a big enough that you can maybe put a small wallet or your lip balm and lipstick or whatever. But yeah, once everything is all turned out nicely, this is going to look amazing. Very fall. A lot of fall colors. And all right, so we'll see what the next step is. Okay, so we now have the exterior of our Meridias Crossbody Bag finished. And now we are going to be working, so we're just going to put this aside for the moment. And now we're going to be working on the interior lining. So you're going to need your last zipper tape, your zipper pull, number 5. And this is the longer of the 2 zippers that were in the pattern. You're going to need your piece H, which is the interior zip pocket facing. I've already marked on the wrong side. I've already marked the box outline that's specified in the pattern. And we're also going to be needing our piece I, which is the interior zip pocket, and you have 2 pieces of the lining for that. So my lining, inside my pockets, I'm using that feature lining for the inside of my pockets. And now what I am going to be doing is it only calls for an interior zipper pocket. I am going to be adding a slip pocket on the other side of the interior of the bag. So we're going to create a quick slip pocket so that I have room that when I open up the bag and it's right here, there's a slip pocket right there that I can slip my phone into. So we're going to be doing that on the one side. We need your pattern piece A, your 2 interior linings. So because I didn't have enough of this feature fabric, this is what my interior looks like. And then that slip pocket is going to be over top of that. So they do all coordinate in color. And I'm not interfacing any of these pieces because this is feels like a 400 denier or denier, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, waterproof nylon with the PVC backing. And this is a much heavier, this almost feels like maybe a 600 waterproof canvas with the PVC backing. And these are, of course, from Sam Fabric Creations in Quebec. So what I'm going to be doing is first, I'm going to create my slip pocket. Oh, and before I forget, because it didn't say in the pattern, and I'm going to have to mark my copy of where I may want in the future to put my metal bag tag. So I'm going to be sewing in one of my, the lighting's not the greatest. I'm trying to make sure that the lighting doesn't get in the video. But here's one of my sew-in bag tags, and I get these from the Spotted Zebra in Alberta. So I'm just going to see if I can raise that so that that cannot be seen. But the problem is with my lighting, as soon as it gets towards me, I get this glare on my eye, on my glasses. So there's my sew-in bag tag from the Spotted Zebra. And I'm also going to include my Made in Canada label that I get from Etsy, from a store in the UK. And these will all be added into the description box of this tutorial. So these come flat. I fold it in half with double-sided tape in between, and then I put another strip of double-sided tape to stick onto the edge. So right now we're going to do the slip pocket, and then we'll work on the zipper pocket. It's early in the morning. I haven't figured things out yet. Okay, so we're putting right sides together on the slip pocket, and we're just matching up the short ends and clipping them. And I'm going to sew the short ends up at about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And then we're going to turn it right side out. So make sure my stitch length is the right one. Okay. And remember to backstitch at the top, beginning and the end. And we are going to finish this bag today. Okay, so we're going to turn it right sides out. Make sure that your corners are poked out. I don't know if anybody else has difficulty, but my corners never, ever, ever seem to get poked out. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut the corners off the inside, just to give them, take away some of that bulk in the corner. Just don't cut your stitches. There, that's a little better. Okay, just gently poke your corners out. I'm just going to top stitch that folded edge. Just clip it because this fabric just does not want to sit flat, and you can't fold it, it's nylon. And I'll just do 1/8 of an inch seam allowance for the top stitching. Okay. Now this should be big enough to fit my phone when I slide it in. I'm hoping it's just going to fit. I have a Samsung S23 Ultra. Today I'm getting an S25 Ultra, a new one. So this should slip in. And we are going to turn the raw edges in. I should have folded them up on the other side, but I just kind of pop the edge, the seam in on the one end and the seam in on the other, about 1/4 of an inch, and then just give it a bit of a tug, and that helps to fold these edges in on their own. And then just clip. Actually, it's probably be easier just to use some double-sided tape on the edges, on the one top edge here. Actually, I kind of move you guys down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're just going to take one edge, the raw edge, move that out of the way, and just put some 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape on the edge. And then I'm going to turn that in towards the center with both these seams. Match the seams up on the edge, turn them in about 1/4 of an inch. Turn that in, and that should help to line up those edges with the double-sided tape. It's probably an easier way, I'm just not thinking of it right now. And then with the double-sided tape, if it's out of whack and not lined up, then I can fix that too. But the idea is to get this folded in. It doesn't help that the nylon doesn't fold and it pops up. But the idea is to get the edges in, get them even, make sure that there's no buckling of the fabric when you smooth it out. And then we will tape it on and sew the bottom down and the edges down. Squish all the air out. Okay, perfect. My edges actually matched. Okay, so before we sew this on, because I'm just going to take one of the interior pieces and then we're going to line this up kind of centered between the curves and the bottom. Before I do that, well, I'm going to line it up and I'm going to use my painter's tape, because when we sew this on, we're going to sew at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way across and all down both sides and down the bottom, and this will close up that bottom. So I want to kind of line it up because I want to be able to sew my bag tag above that. And also I'm going to tuck my Made in Canada label underneath the slip pocket. So I just want to see where I'm going to line all of this up. I need to just take a lighter to these extra ends of the thread. Okay. Just line it up, and I just pretty much center it. I'm not going to worry too much if the bottom corners get caught in the seam allowance as we sew this together. And if I had been thinking, I would have sewn, before I sewed this, I would have put my bag tag here. All these things afterwards. And I could still put the bag tag on the other side where the zipper is too. But here this kind of puts everything in the same area, and it's centered. And I'm just going to line it up at the top there with the painter's tape first. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stitch down this side across the bottom and down this side with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to put our slip pocket and secure it. And I will back stitch before and after too. Okay. It's a matter of squishing all the air out so that it doesn't it doesn't poof up as I'm sewing this. And I better tuck my Made in Canada label. Where am I going to tuck that? Because I don't want it to get caught in my stitching when I do the seam allowances. So I'm just going to tuck it in under here. And it'll still be seen quite nicely. Smooth everything. Beauty of painter's tape is it can always be reused as well. Okay. Oops. All right, just take the flame to that. And there we have our slip pocket. My phone should fit in there hopefully quite nicely, and it does. That's exactly what I wanted, so that I have a place so that it's not loose inside the bag. And now I'm just going to sew my bag tag just above the slip pocket. Of course, I didn't mark the centers on my bag interior pieces. Like I said, guys, I do a lot of eyeballing. It just comes naturally to center things for me, but make sure if you're not as confident about that, make sure that you just measure, make sure everything's even. All right, so I've just taken the double-sided tape off the back of my sew-in bag tag, and I can see my center mark that I just made, my center notch, and I'm just putting it right above that, about a 1/16 of an inch above the slip pocket. And I'm going to just stitch that in, and I will tie the threads to the back on this so that you're not seeing it, but I just stitch right along the edge of the bag tag. These are my old logo. My logo has gone through many generations of me redesigning it. So I'm almost out of my the old logo from these bag tags and my metal bag tags. So when they all run out, I will get new ones made. And I'll use these. I use the sew-in ones because they're older. I use them for the when I do vendor shows and I mass produce like wallets and stuff like that. So if I can get this out, I'm just trying to grab my stylus. It's stuck in the mesh rope. Turn around. Okay, so I'm just going to take the thread and pull the first threads to the back that I started sewing. Just tie those off so I know which ones I've pulled. This is just what I do. It makes it easier for me because I've mixed them up so many times. Okay, and then we will come across one more stitch. Okay. And I'll pull these threads. And then I'm just going to tie them. All right, and just take my lighter to those unruly ends. There we go. It's amazing we don't have our fingerprints burnt off. Okay, so there you have the one side. The pattern did not call for this slip pocket. I have added this because this is something that I would want, and if I make more bags, then I will definitely keep including this. I've sewn in my Made in Canada label, so now when I do the exterior, when I sew everything, I'll just make sure that this is out of the way and out of the sewing because it is close to that edge. And then I've added in my sew-in bag tag because the pattern didn't say where to put an external one. So, and now we're going to take the other side. So we're just going to put this one aside for the moment. We're going to take the other exterior one, interior lining, and mark my centers, which I should have done. I thought I had done all my centers, and I guess I didn't. This is really nice waterproof canvas, and what I like about it is that it's heavy enough that you don't have to interface it. When I started bag making, I started using cotton and interfacing it, and that became more tedious because you were cutting out your cotton pattern pieces, you were cutting out your exterior pieces, you were cutting out interfacing to interface possibly your exterior body of your bag. You're cutting out interfacing pieces to interface your cotton to make it more substantial. So in the long run, this definitely waterproof canvas at a heavier denier, I think it's called, is definitely less expensive than buying the cotton, buying extra interfacing, cutting all of these out for time, and then ironing them all on. This is definitely the way to go because you don't have to interface your interior when you have this. All right, so this is the last part of the main panel A, interior, and now you're going to need your two pieces from piece I, which is your interior zip pocket. Now, my bottoms aren't straight across. It doesn't matter. That's not going to affect anything in the long run. And then you're also going to need your piece H, which is your interior zip pocket facing. So I have already, I better mark the center on this as well. I've already marked my rectangle on the inside according to the measurements in the pattern. And I'm just going to mark down, notch out the one center. Of course, I'm wearing black and this has a black interior, so there's my notch mark there. All right, now according to the pattern, I'm just going to see how far down we go. Okay, please. Okay, so there's a certain measurement in the pattern as to how far we go down from the center notched mark to where we line up our facing. and center that. So I'm just going to measure with my ruler. And make sure it's straight. And then I'm just going to take the facing and I'm going to put it right side down on the right side of the interior lining. Get my pieces of painter's tape again, and then just tape both sides, making sure that it's straight and making sure that it's centered. Okay, now we're just going to stitch. I'm going to shorten my stitch length to a 2, and then I'm just going to stitch all the way around this box. I like a smaller stitch length when I go around my the zipper facing box, just to make sure that it's a tighter stitch and you get maybe a crisper edge. Excuse me. Not enough coffee. Okay, making sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end. Coming to that corner, I lift my needle a bit, then pivot. Okay. Get rid of the painter's tape. Okay, so this is what we have so far. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it in half, and you can feel that your stitch lines match up on this side and on this side. Just give it, typically if you're not familiar with not marking it, you would have a center line marked down the center of the box. I don't do that because you can pretty well guesstimate where your center is, and I just cut a slit in the center, and then I just take my scissors and, like the other zipper pocket, and just cut all the way up to about 1/2 inch before you get to the corners, and then I cut a V, little pie shape there on each end. Okay, just like so. And there's the little pie shapes there. And then to make it easier for me, because this is the part that I find the most difficult, is trying to push this facing to the back and keeping it there, because I can't iron this. If it was cotton, yes, I could iron it, but sometimes even when your cotton is interfaced, it doesn't want to fold properly. So I take double-sided tape. In this instance, I'll use 1/4 inch because it's heavier duty, it's thicker. And I just put it on either end, and a little bit on each end of the wrong side of the facing, with your interior up, facing up. So I just do that. And then I'm just going to peel off one end, one of the backings of the double-sided tape. And I'm just going to finger press along the stitch line, and I'm going to stick it in on the underneath, because then that will help me to pull it up. You can pull the other end up too, because that'll help work everything in. And I'm always fighting this. I don't know about you guys, but this is the part that I always fight with. It's bag making, wrestling bag making. And then all I do is then I just kind of pull the two seams apart and fold it so that we get a crisper edge. I'm trying to pull this up through here too. And then just to fold it so that you get a really nice edge. And the double-sided tape helps to hold that facing down. And give you a crisper edge, and not a wavy edge like I used to have. Okay, and I'm just going to take the backing off of one edge and then grab that edge as I'm pulling the side up that still has the double-sided tape, and I'm going to pull that corner and work the corners out so that they're straight and flat, and use the double-sided tape to hold that down. And I'll do that on the other edge. I just find that this works the best for me. You guys, you know, I appreciate, as said before, that there are definitely veteran bag makers here, and I don't have all the answers, but these are just some of the tricks that work for me. And then we'll take the last piece of the double-sided tape, and this just, I find, helps so much with keeping these ends down and making sure. The worst part is having puckers in your corners. That's the worst thing I hate seeing, is puckers in my corners. And sometimes it does happen. Okay, I'm just pulling on the bottom part of this now and pulling the seams open so I can get a crisp edge of my zipper box. Okay, everything is looking good. And then I could take my seam roller. Like, you can also, you know, you can take, with this type of fabric, you can take your nail and finger press it, kind of run your nail along those edges to flatten them. And that kind of gives you a nice crisp edge as well. And there it is on the back. Puckers in the corner are, you know, you can kind of pull them out too. There's enough flexibility in the fabric to help pull them out so that you have a better looking one. But if you have a seam roller, then use that. That helps to flatten the edges. I don't find the seam roller really super flattens it. My fingernail can do a better job. Okay, we're just going to put this aside for the moment. All right, so we're not putting the zipper pull on yet, but we're going to take some 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape. It's sticking to everything here. And I'm just going to put it, I just want to make sure that this is going to be going on the right way. Okay, so I'm going to put the double-sided tape on the top edge of the zipper pocket lining, and I've already marked my centers on both pieces. Pull the backing off, and then we're going to take our zipper tape. It's got to be right side up. So that when you open up your zipper, your zipper teeth have to be face up. Oh, good grief. They face up, right side up, lining right side up, so that when you have your zipper sitting like this and you open it, you're looking into the right side of the lining. I'm just going to take a coffee. This is my Texas mug that my sister, when she was a nurse in Texas, before she came back to Canada, she sent me this Texas coffee mug. Okay, so we're just going to stitch that on. Ouch, just got my nail caught. At a scant 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Oh, and I have to increase my stitch. And then we're going to take the other side. We're going to take the other lining and do exactly the same thing. So we're just going to put some double-sided tape along the top. And pull the backing off. And then we're going to take the other side of the zipper, teeth up, and you're going to have the right side of the inside of your zipper pocket being put together with the right side of the other pocket, and line up your centers on the top edges and stitch that in place as well. Okay, now make sure you put your zipper pull on because you have to have your zipper pull on now. So, or else I've done this before. I've sewn everything in, even when you put zipper tabs on either end, and they look gorgeous, and I forget to put the zipper pull on. So just pull it on, stick it on there. Oops, this one likes to pop off. It's looser because the teeth are different. Straighten those teeth up. See, it popped off again. It seems very loose, but it's not. Just the style of the zipper pull. Pop that one corner up. Okay. All right. So the zipper pull is on. Now what we need to do is to flatten these edges as much as we can. And take 1/8 of an inch double-sided tape and put it on both on the edge of the zipper tape on both sides. Sorry, excuse me. Half my bags are put together, half of the bags they're put together with double-sided tape, but boy, I'll tell you, I wish we'd had this years ago. It would have made life a lot easier for sewing. Okay, so I have my zipper pull oriented to close to the left. That seems to be the typical standard of all bag makers. And what we're going to do, like the other zipper, the exterior zipper pocket, I'm going to line this up and center it over top of the zipper here. Your zipper facing edges here that we've taped down should match the edge of your lining. So I'm just going to take the top part off, the top part of the zipper tape, or the double-sided tape. What I do is I make sure that the ends get lined up. That's the edge. That these ends here are centered over top of the teeth. And then the rest of it should pretty much flow. Get the other one out of the way. Okay. And just making sure that the facing, that it's centered. Yep. Okay, and that the top edge that I have the double-sided tape off lines up with the zipper. And now I'll just take the double-sided tape off the bottom end of the zipper tape. Flatten that down. And then stick it to the zipper tape, and then make sure everything's all centered. And then we're going to stitch a 1/8 inch seam allowance all around the zipper box, just like we did with the other one. And I am going to backspace over top of the zippers ends just to make sure that they're okay. Watch your zipper pull as you come around here too. And both, before I forget, both of your lining pieces are splayed open like butterfly wings. So they're open at this point in time. Nothing's closed. Okay, so I'm coming up to my zipper pull. My needle is down, lift my presser foot, move the zipper pull out of the way. and continue on sewing. What's clanging underneath my machine, but boy, it sure is noisy. Just coming up to that zipper pull, move that out of the way. Must be my pedal that's making so much noise. I'll have to check to see if I have any screws loose or loose screws. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have our zipper pocket installed or semi-installed. And this is what we have on the back. So one of your lining pieces is going to be shorter than the other. We are going to be only sewing down the sides, the short edges. We are not sewing close the bottom because this is going to be a turning hole. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take some double-sided tape. That's why I didn't care that my lining edges were not even at the bottom. And I'm just going to run some 1/4 of an inch double-sided tape along the edge, making sure that that double-sided tape is straight. And then we're going to fold up. We're going to fold up this edge onto itself, about 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to take double-sided tape. We're going to flip it over and put double-sided tape along here. Actually, I can trim that edge to make it a little even. I don't care that it doesn't matter that it's longer. And I'm just going to run another strip of double-sided tape along that edge. And what we're going to do is making sure that everything is flat. Put your interior lining up. You're going to fold this longer edge up so that the edges, the folded edges meet the folded edge of the other side that you did. And then the double-sided tape will hold it in place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to peel back the front part and the facing, and we're going to sew down this side, and we're going to peel back the interior lining from here and sew down to seal the edges of the zipper pocket. You're going to have double-sided tape there. Any double-sided tape that you see exposed, pull it off, because you don't want that your presser foot getting caught on it, and it just helps. It just helps things from sticking, and then your needle getting gummed up as well. It was just there more to secure things down, for more for my convenience than anything. Like the Fabri-Tac glue, when you pull off double-sided tape backing, I wind up with glue all over my fingers. Just as an aside, when we were kids in school, the Fabri-Tac glue reminds me of rubber cement. And we used to take the rubber cement, it used to have like a little spongy ball on it stuck to the inside of the lid, and we used to paint our hands. And then we would peel, when the rubber cement dried, we'd peel it off like a glove, and then you could see all your fingerprints. It was just something cool. Just something we Army brat kids did, including spitballs. All right, so I'm just going to sew down. I'm going to start close to here so I can catch that triangle into my stitching. I'm going to backspace over top of my zippers, And then when I get past the zipper, I can branch out and just do 1/4 of an inch on either side, just to make sure that the pocket on the inside has a little bit more space. It doesn't matter at the top because you're not going to be using that part of the pocket. Just go over the teeth a couple of times. And then I just graduate over to the edge and down to about 1/4 of an inch. Just so that the bottom, the part at the bottom is wider and you get more space at the bottom. And then I'll do the same on the other side as well. This is the best way I find to make a zipper pocket. I like doing zipper pockets this way. It's like a slip pocket. It's pretty easy. And then what you can do is take your utility scissors. So this is what we have so far. When you open it up, you can see inside and you see the right side of the lining, and it's not closed. And then here's the back. So like I said, this is going to be a turning hole. So what you can do is take your utility scissors now, and I'm going to, so here's my stitch line. I started here and I caught that little triangle. So I'm just going to trim this down so it'll be out of the bulk of the interior lining seam allowance. And I'm just going to trim this down and then just trim it down this side as well. Don't use your good fabric scissors because you're going to be cutting over top of a zipper, the zipper teeth. And I just kind of nipped off the corner of that little pocket as well. And I'm just going to take my lighter. Oops. Double-sided tape is sticking to everything. And I'm just going to take my lighter and just kind of run it along the edge, even though it's even with the fabric. I'm just going to run it there just to make sure it kind of semi-seals things on this side. And on this side as well. And any threads that are hanging out, doesn't matter, you're not going to see them. Okay, there is our exterior, or sorry, our interior zipper pocket, all made and ready to go. And the added, that's not part of the pattern, the added slip pocket that I made. So when I make my bag, this zipper pocket will be on the back wall of the bag for me. And that's where your back exterior zipper pocket is going to be. So this is going to be on the back wall. And then as you're looking into the bag, the slip pocket I'm going to have at the front. That's the theory. Let's just make sure I don't get mixed up. Because when I open up the bag, lift the flap, the slip pocket will be right there. That's where I want to slip my phone in right away so that if I need access to it, that I can just lift the flap, stick my hand in, and grab my cell phone. Okay, so we have the centers, top and bottom, marked on these. Now you are going to need your piece B, which is your your lining fabric gusset. And I'm just going to mark my centers. Like I said, I thought I had marked all my centers. And we're just going to attach the gusset, lining gusset, to the to the interior pieces, just like we did to the exterior. I'll do one side. So I'm just going to, so what I'm just going to do is I'm clipping the bottom, and then I'm going to go to the top and clip the top just to make sure that the corners and the edges all line up. And then when we stitch this, so I'm not going to have you sit here and watch me clip. Like, how exciting is that? I'm just going to clip it just to secure it. And I'll finish clipping it off camera. But what happens is when everything is clipped together, and when you sew, you're going to start at the top edge, at the seam allowance in the pattern. So basically it's a 3/8 inch seam allowance that you're going to start at, go down about an inch. And then in order to make sure that the lining will fit inside your exterior part of your bag and it won't be baggy inside, then you start at a 3/8 inch seam allowance at the top, work your way down about an inch or two, and then you start to graduate into a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around until you come up to about an inch to an inch, 2 inches, 1.5 inches, and then you graduate out into a 3/8 inch seam allowance. And then that way it'll have your lining will be slightly smaller when the bag is all turned out, and it'll fit into the bag a lot better. So I'll be back when I have attached the gusset to both sides, the front and back of the lining panels. All right, we'll see you soon. All right, so this is what we have so far for our interior lining. And the one thing I forgot to mention that is in the pattern for when you do your exterior bag and the interior lining is when you have your seams, sewn, open them up and then just baste them open so that it makes lining up your seams easier for when we go to insert the bag together, and it reduces the bulk. So because of the fact that we have a larger seam allowance, it looks a mess. It's just that this waterproof, this PVC backing, it just makes a mess. So I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to start down here past where I've got the seams basted open. And I'm just going to take my pinking shears and I'm just going to trim it so that it reduces the bulk in the seam allowance, but it also will help those curves to fall better, especially with this PVC backing, because it is stiffer, and the waterproof canvas is stiffer as well. And then that'll just help the interior fall. And I'll make sure that my zipper pocket is out of the way, that I don't cut it. And just veer off to there, and then just do the other side. Something going on with my throat right at the moment. Maybe it's allergies at this time of the year. Not enough coffee. Probably not enough coffee. Okay. All right. So here is where we're at right now. We have our zipper pocket. Of course, the double-sided tape won't stick and keep these ends closed. And then we have our slip pocket on this side. So now what we're going to do is we are going to The exterior should be wrong sides out. So now we take our exterior and we push it wrong side out. Also, there's a really, really cool way of that they have, that Joe and Adam have devised for when to keep the lining stuck down onto the interior of your exterior. All right, so we're just, let me put these guys away. I don't need them anymore. This is a clanky bag with the O-rings and all the hardware. But this is such a beautiful bag. It's a really, really nice construction. Okay, so the so the exterior will be wrong sides out. Push the flap in so it's tucked into the exterior. So now what we have, you may have to bend it. At the end, I'm going to also mention some things that I wouldn't do again with this bag. But right now, so that we have this happening and you have this extra space on the top here. Turn the lining right side out, so we're opposite to what we had. Oh, I can take my painter's tape off where I held my Canada flag label down. I just didn't want that to get sewn in anywhere. So I had that held down. And this is also going to help. This type of lining is also going to help because of the stability of it and the firmness of it too. It's also going to help stabilize the exterior of the bag. So we'll give the bag a little bit more structure. All right. So as you can see, my slip pocket, because of the size, I did catch the corners into the stitching of the exterior or the interior, but that's okay. That's not a big deal because it doesn't take away from the fact that I can still put my phone in. And my phone's big, like the Samsung Ultras are the largest phones, and there's lots of room for that. So if you have a smaller iPhone or a smaller Samsung, you're good to go. I build my slip pockets according to my phone because of the fact that it's such a large phone. And a lot of people might have a smaller phone. Like my husband's phone is smaller than mine. It's a Samsung S24 actually, but it's an FE, so it's smaller. The Ultras are bigger, plus they have the square edge. Alrighty, so now we're going to, so turn the lining right side out and place it into the exterior, and they will be right sides together. So I want to make sure that I have this on the front panel when I open up the bag. Undo the zipper pocket on the lining. Oh yes, because that's our turning hole. So on the lining, make sure that your zipper pocket is undone because we have to use that to turn. I'm glad that was in there and I read it. I would have forgot. Okay. So let me just figure this out because now that I have the lining, I want to make sure that when this goes in, I just hope I'm putting it in the right way. I think so. That's the front of the bag. Okay, we're shoving it in, and hopefully the slip pocket will be on the side I want it. And if not, I'm not worrying about it. I don't get cranked out about things like that. Okay, so now it's clipping our life away here, and what we're going to do is we're first going to match up these seams. I also have centers to match up to, but I want to make sure that these seams match up. This is a smaller opening for a bag, so it is going to be tighter to sew. If you have a free arm on your sewing machine, then that is great too. If you need more room on your sewing machine, if you have a domestic sewing machine with a free arm, you can prop it up. Like what I do with my Kenmore is it's sitting on two kitchen cupboard shelves that are alien taped together, just because it gives it more stability on this little cart. But what I was doing when I was using my Kenmore as a as my bag making sewing machine before I got my jack, this part comes off, it pops off, and I have a free arm. So I would take this and I would hang it over top of the edge of those shelves to give, so that the Kenmore sat up higher, and it gave me more room under the free arm so that the bags would move easier. So it's almost like a kind of a fake cylinder arm, I guess. All right, so let's just get these guys all clipped, lining up all the wrong edges, lining up your seams, shoving that in there. It's funny, even though I basted those seams open, they don't want to stay open. But when I sew this bag, it's going to be tight, and I have to sew it. I'm going to be sewing it from the inside. Okay, and the centers all line up. It's perfect. Yay! I love it when things come together, because I know for myself, I'm just not the best cutter. But everything always works out in the end. These patterns are so well written. And it matches perfectly. Okay. Okay, so we're going to sew this together. And I'm going to sew it at a, it just says sew it together. I'm assuming you use the seam allowance in the bag, in the pattern. I'm just going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, just because it's easier for me to keep my presser foot edge lined up. So this is where it gets tricky, because of the fact that the clips get in the way, but I go slow. And I use my snips. They're double pronged, and I use them to help keep the fabric down so that it doesn't slide. This is where you need muscles to wrestle. This is sewing, bag making wrestling. It's like BMW instead of WWF. And squish your bag if you can. And I'm just coming across those seams. So I'm just going to back stitch over those seams just to be on the safe side. So right now I'm doing 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And then this pattern says after you've done your first stitch line, then go within the seam allowance 1/16 of an inch after that. Within the seam allowance, just to have a second row of stitching for security. And I might do that stitching on the other side of the 1/4 inch that I'm stitching, just to be different. But we'll see how it looks. I may not have to do that. Trim my threads. Actually, this is turning quite nicely. Moving quite nicely under my needle. I'm just at the back now where that flap is folded. Bag making wrestling, there should be a reality show about that. All right, so I have done my 1/4 inch stitch line, and I'm just going to go and do the second stitch line, just to help secure it in there. I don't need those. And that's, I am doing it within the seam allowance so that you're not going to see it on the other side. So much faster when the clips are gone and they're not getting caught on the sewing machine. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so now we turn the bag through that zipper pocket. So pull the zipper pocket up. It's not staying. Okay, and I just take everything and I kind of just squish it into my hand. That kind of helps me shove it a little easier. This bag is fairly thick to get through that hole, so maybe that's not going to work. Okay, hold the lining. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, I need coffee to get me through this. Okay, so I'm pulling the lining through right now. Grab the exterior on the inside. The foam makes it a little harder because it's so much thicker. And this is where you need your thumbs to push, and that's where I have the arthritis in that joint. Some bag makers just make this look so easy. Now, just be gentle with it if you can, so that nothing gets pulled out, especially the zipper, so your stitches don't get pulled out. An hour later, I'll finally have this done. Okay, here comes the flap. Definitely a reason why they call this birthing a bag. Actually, this is the first bag that I have birthed in a long time, because the bags that I've been making lately, they're all bound bags, which is great because it has improved my binding skills dramatically. Yeah, definitely the foam and the added thickness of this waterproof canvas makes this bag thicker. Squish it down a bit. So what I wouldn't do, I'll say that now as I'm wrestling with this, I wouldn't put foam in the flap the next time, but I had to this time because of the fact that you cannot iron onto this waterproof nylon. You can't iron any woven interfacing. It just doesn't work. So I wouldn't put foam in the next time just because it doesn't have that crispness that my first bag had. Okay, this is coming. It is actually coming. Holy moly. Get there. Working up a sweat here. And I'll have to take my hair blower to this afterwards to see if I can try and get any of the wrinkles out of the nylon, or try and steam my iron over top of it without touching it. Okay, there's a spot I can stick my thumb up into and shove up. Go. I'm peeling a banana. If anybody has an easier, faster way, let me know, because this is pretty thick. Okay, I'm just going to gently grab one of those O-rings if I can to help to see if that'll pull the sides. I won't pull it too hard because I don't want to pull those rivets out. Okay, it's starting to come, guys. It's a girl. Oh boy, that was a workout, let me tell you. Okay. So one thing I can see, I have to train my my edges here afterwards to make sure that they're all crisp looking. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to stuff the lining into the bag now. Stuff it back in after all that workout. The noise all this fabric makes, wow. This is a nice bag though. Let me put it down here. Okay, we're shoving the lining back into the bag. And it looks like everything worked out the way I wanted it to line up inside. Okay, push everything down into the base and smooth everything out as best as you can. Yes, so when I open up my bag, the lining did wind up, yay, on this side, and my bag tag is there too. Okay, I need to open my window again. All right, so now this is what we have, and it looks pretty bulgy. So I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to have you don't need to watch this. I mean, it's going to take time. But I'm just going to take my edges and work them around so that with my hand in the zipper pocket and underneath the lining, so that I can get my edges all nicely lined up and clipped, and then I'm going to top stitch all around the top, and I'll be back after that. Okay, so this is what we have so far. We have now top stitched all around the top of our bag, securing the lining into the bag. And before we close that zipper pocket up, one of the things that's kind of a neat idea, my hair's kind of wonky, is to secure more stability. Make sure, first of all, that your lining is all pushed down into the seams around the curves of your exterior to help push them out. So make sure that everything is pushed in, like out quite nicely. And then one of the things, in order to help keep the lining down against the base of your bag, is get your Fabri-Tac glue or similar. This is, I think, from Walmart. Reach in gently so that you're not pulling your lining out of whack. Pull out your zipper pocket so that it's open, so that you can put your hand down into there. So you're going to be putting your hand down into where your lining and your inside, so your two wrong sides of your lining and your exterior are going to meet. You are going to have to pull the lining away a little bit. Take your glue and kind of put some glue on the through the zipper lining hole, down in on the wrong side of your base, and then squish your lining up against it and make sure it's all in there smooth. And that, if you have cotton, you won't want to do this because your glue will leak through to your cotton. So this I know is waterproof. I just have to make sure everything is out of the way. And I'm going to, before I start squeezing, I'm going to stick it in there. You know, just run a couple, you know, kind of a squiggle line along the base. Because this is not the neatest stuff to work with. Like I said earlier, I get this all over my hands. My hands aren't the smallest thing either. And of course it's all dark in there. It's hard to see where I'm going. Oh, there we are. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. There, get it under my light. Stick it in there and then squeeze the daylights out of it so that it's kind of all inside there. Okay. And then I'm going to push my lining back down into the bag and squish it all into that glue. It's almost like being a kid again. Put a cap on here. And you will have to let it sit for a couple of minutes, depending on how long it takes for that glue to set. I'm just pushing my lining, my zipper pocket lining in there, just to get it in there to make sure that I get all this lining flattened in there and up against the glue. And up against the base. Squish it all in there. It's a really neat way of securing your lining to the exterior of your bag so that you don't so that it doesn't bulge out or move or shift. So what I'm going to do for the moment, I had some here. Here they are. I'm just going to take some tea towels and I'm just going to shove them into the bottom really, really tight, just to secure that for a moment. Get some more here. It's all my Norwex cloths. And I'm just going to shove that in, and that'll help to solidify that glue for a few minutes. And then I will be back with the strap and we will get the strap. So this is what we have so far, guys. Doesn't that look great? All on the bottom here. Push, at least with the tea towels, I can squish things to help train those edges. Doesn't that look great? All right, so I'll be back when I know that this has dried enough that we can then, we're going to pull the zipper pocket closed, because I didn't want to pull the zipper pocket and stitch it closed until the glue was dried in case I pulled that lining away from the glue. So I'll be back when it's time to do that. All right, we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to do the grab handle. I'm going to edit out of the actual video and insert this into it because I did mess that up, and we can't have a tutorial with something messed up and you guys following it. So follow the pattern as far as the length of the fabric that you need for your grab handle and the width. Then we're going to take the raw edges and we're going to mark your center line down the center, just like we make all kinds of straps. We're going to fold the raw edges into the center, and then we're going to fold these edges up here. I'm just going to tilt it down a little bit. There we go. I'm just going to run a strip of 1/4-inch double-sided tape up the one side, about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch away from the folded edge. And that'll help to fold it better. And with this nylon, the other thing that I did also to help with the crease is I kind of just ran my thumb along the edge of the fold to try and help make it a little more crisper, because the nylon tends to leave a bulgy kind of a roll and it doesn't flatten very well. So I'm just going to take the backing off. And we are going to clip it together and make sure that the folded edges match and are even, and still clip it together. The first grab handle I made, I had some white salvage going down the wrong side. And that could be seen the way it was folded up to show on the right side. And that was bothering me. And plus, I finished both ends. So it's not all perfect. I do way better when I'm doing a pattern. I do way better watching the YouTube tutorial. So I was so thankful when they came out. I do way better watching the visual. That's just how my brain seems to want to work now. I used to be very analytical where I would follow a written out step by step. But maybe as I get older, my brain just doesn't want to seem to work that way. So as much as I was following the pattern, I did mess it up, and I finished both ends with the strap ends and the rivets and the rectangle rings, and that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. And like I said, it was bothering me that you could see on the wrong side, you could see the that white strip of the selvage that I didn't think was going to show. But the way that this strap, which is pretty cool, is constructed, it could be seen. All right, so now I'm going to stitch down. First of all, I'm going to stitch I'm going to stitch an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down the folded edge. And then I'm going to do the 1/8 of an inch seam allowance down this main folded edge. And then I'll do a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance into the center. Starting and stopping at the beginning and the end. I apologize for, I hope I can edit it out good enough and insert this in there so that you get the right tutorial for the grab handle. Make sure I don't run out of bobbin or thread, because it is coming to the end, but there's still quite a bit there. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the top where I started, and I'm going to start on the other side and do an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just so that it prevents any kind of twisting. Okay, now that I've done it that way, I'm just going to stitch over to a 1/4 of an inch and go up the other side at a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance for top stitching. So we have that nice detailed double stitched row on both sides. This almost becomes mesmerizing and hypnotic watching this. And then I'll just go down the other side at 1/4 of an inch. But I just wanted to make sure that those two outer stitch lines at 1/8 of an inch were both going in the same direction so that there was no chance of the strap twisting. Okay, trim off all my threads. Put everything away. Take my lighter to the ends. First of all, I do want to trim up those ends just to make sure that they're even. And just take a flame to the ends of the threads. Okay, so just move the pattern over here. I'm going to use my ruler so I don't miss a step. Okay, center line, 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so for the grab handle, measure and mark for rivets. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this at the moment because in the pattern there are certain measurements from each of these ends to measure for rivet hole placement. So I'm going to just stop the camera. I'm going to measure those ends and then I'm going to punch my rivets, my rivet holes, and I'll be back. Okay, so strap number 2, grab handle. I have now measured all of the holes and punched the rivets in. I have put the fray check in each of the holes to stop any fraying. And then what we do next is because the strap ends are going to be too big and too loose to fit on the handle, the ends. So you just take the ends, fold them over about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to use my little flat-edged pliers because this is pretty thick. And I am going to squeeze that edge just to try and flatten it so I don't have to bang it with a hammer. Some people have a hammer that they bang it with, and I don't. So what I'm going to do is then I'm going to take a clip, because I need to clip it, and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. And I'm doing this on the wrong side, and hope to God I'm doing it right this time. And just fold that over. Be careful when you fold it over, you don't fold it over too much that it's going to show on the sticking out of the underside of the strap end. Okay, and then I'm just going to clip this one as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my strap ends and I'm going to take my fabric glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the inside. This is where I get all covered in glue, just like a kid. And I'm just going to run a little bit down the center. Try not to get any on the outside, because then when you shove the strap end up into it, it'll push it all up to the end. And yeah, I'll probably get some on. So I am going to take the clip off. This is the wrong side with the folded edge. And this is the wrong side with the holes, the screw holes. And I'm going to slide that on. Get some Kleenex now because I have glue squishing out on the ends. Try not to make a mess. And I'm just going to clip that and hold that in place as best as those clips will do. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. I'll just run a little bit of glue down the center. Already a drop sticking out. It's going to be a mess, I can see it. Tap it down a bit, maybe that'll help move the glue down to the bottom. These are pretty tight and narrow, so, and then I'm just going to take the raw edge, or the wrong edge with the holes, and slide, make sure that the holes are on the side where the material, the end is folded over. Go through a lot of Kleenex with this because the glue oozes out the edge. Okay, so I'm just going to clip that on as well, and then I'll work. I have glue on my fingers, so they're sticking. Okay, just put the cap on there, and there's always the stuff that oozes out on the top that you have to clean up after. Okay, so this is the first end that we did. What I'm going to do is I have one of these little electric drills I got from, not drills, screwdrivers I got from Amazon. It comes with a bazillion different bit heads, and it's rechargeable. So look, you can't see it on there, but the other end is, it's rechargeable. But I only ever use this one tiny screwdriver bit, because that's all I ever use it for, is to screw these in. But it does have a light to help you see what you're doing. Not that I use it. So I'm just going to take one of the screws, and it does magnetize. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I just have to run it over a magnet again to magnetize it. And I'm going to screw this in. This is a game changer, having this electric screwdriver, let me tell you. I was using that, you know, like the eyeglass screwdrivers, the handheld ones. Boy, they really hurt my hands, and I couldn't get the screws in tight enough. They were always sitting up above the screw holes. All right, so we're going to screw that one down. And the glue that squishes up over top of the fabric will also help to set the screws in place too. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a tight manual turn, because I know it can go in a little further. There we go. And I'm just going to take my my awl here, and I'm just going to make sure that the ends, the raw, if you can see any raw ends sticking out, I'm just going to make sure that those kind of get shoved down a little bit, so they're not seen as much. Use my screwdriver, maybe that'll work better. Okay. And then we're going to do exactly the same with the other one, with the other side. These screws are so tiny, I drop them all the time. Oops, that didn't go in straight. But this wasn't, actually I got this on Black Friday last November, and it wasn't that expensive. It was really a good price to begin with, but I got it on Black Friday. And boy, I'll tell you, this is a real game changer for getting your tiny little screws in there. I will have to replace this little drill bit at some point in time because it is wearing down. I just can't seem to get this into the hole. There we go. Come on. Okay, give it some manual tightness here. And there's glue squishing out on the ends. Oops, my drill bit came out. Screw bit, I should say. Problem is doing it this way with manually screwing it, you keep hitting those buttons. All right, clean up any glue that's squished out. Okay, so there we have it. There's the right side of your strap with the right side of the strap end showing. Okay, and you feed one of the strap ends through the rectangle ring. This is where I messed up. Oh, they're right here. Okay. So the rectangle ring, I'm just taking the one strap end because I went and finished them both the first time around. So the rectangle ring, I'm just feeding the strap end through here. And get my rivets. Okay, so I just need 1, 2. I just need 2 for now, I think. Okay, so we feed the one end of the grab handle with the strap end through the rectangle ring and back on itself so that the 2 sets of rivet holes line up. Now, my rectangle ring is a 1-inch rectangle ring. I don't have a 3/4 inch one. That's okay. I don't have any issues with that. And then you just pop your rivets, your double cap rivets into those holes where they line up. And then pop the other cap on. Glue on my fingers. Okay. And then I'm going to set the rivets with my rivet press right here. Just so that they don't pop off. Okay, so this is what we have. We have the one edge. Hi, Frankie. I know, you're right in the way. You are so nosy. Should have named you Gladys Kravitz, honestly. But she came with the name Frankie. We adopted her. She was 14 months old when we got her, so she's 3 now. Okay, so we have the one end folded over with the rectangle ring, and then this end only has the one strap end, which is what I didn't do the last time. I went and finished that end with the rectangle ring. So now we go to where we start working on the strap handle, and we put it on our bag. the grab handle and the strap. Okay, so what it says here is place the bag right side up in front of you, just like this. I'm leaving the tea towels in here for now. Okay, so this is our finished bag. It's all top stitch. I just have tea towels all stuffed in here for the edge of the bag. I use my ruler. I don't want to miss a step. So place the bag right side up in front of you. Get your grab handle and feed the end without the rectangle ring under the O-ring on the right side. So here's the O-ring on the right side. I'm feeding it under. All right, I'm feeding it under on the right side. The bag, the handle should be going from right to left, and the strap end and rectangle ring will be showing on the outside of the bag. So it will go like this. Because that is a design feature of part of the strap and the grab handle. The handle should be going from the right to the left, and the rectangle ring will be showing on the outside of the bag. Line up the next 2 set of rivet holes and rivet them in place. Okay, so we're taking this end and we're going to line up these next 2 rivet holes on our strap handle. I need my rivets again. I need 2 caps. Okay. Now she recommends not setting any rivets until we know that everything is done properly, like I didn't do the first time. So right now, with the folded edge up of the strap handle, with the strap end showing, you're actually looking at the wrong side, like the underside of the strap, but that's how it's going to look, just like that. I'm not setting, these are the 2 rivets I just put in place, so I've got them squished on, they're not set. Bring the end of the handle, the grab handle, through the remaining O-ring from right to left, and then lining up the next 2 rivet holes. All right, we're going to pop 2 more rivets in. So we're lining up the 2 holes that are going to be, we've got this much end, so we have the top 4 holes. So we have the strap end and the top 4 punched holes with this much of a leeway here. And we're just going, and then we're lining up these 2 rivet holes to hook onto the O-ring. That's why we don't push, that's why we're not, she says, do not, it's not recommended to set your rivets until you know everything is in place. Definitely good advice. Anyways, going back to YouTube, yeah, I do better visually watching a tutorial than I do following the instructions now. So that's why I want to make sure that this is right and I can edit the other portion out. Okay, so what we have is this right now. So this is the one side that we have the rectangle ring, the right side of the bag. I have not set my rivets yet down here. And then the grab handle, making sure it's straight and it's gone through the O-ring and the 2 rivets right there. All right, I did set my rivets. So this is how the outer edge on the right side looks, and this is what we've got on this side. Okay, so for the main strap, feed one end over the center bar of the strap slider. Okay, so the strap slider I'm using is 1 inch. I do need these guys, my strap ends as well. Okay. And the reason why we don't put our strap ends on our strap yet is because they won't fit through your slider. So once your slider is done, then we can add the strap ends. Okay, feed one end over the center bar. So this is the strap slider I'm using. It's thin enough in between the post and either end so that it's not going to slide. It's going to have it'll be a little, it's thinner than what a normal tri-glide is like. So for the main strap, feed one end over the center bar. So we're going to go up underneath, feed one end over the center bar, fold it back on itself and add the 2 rivets. But first I need to add the strap. So now we're going to fold this over, and we're going to line up those rivet holes, and then we're going to put rivets in. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, we've got our strap slider. We've got this end riveted in with the strap end. Okay, so now with the bag right side up, feed the remaining end of the main strap. So that would be this end. Feed the remaining end of the main strap through the right rectangle ring, going from left to right. Okay, going from left to right. No wonder it was backwards. Good grief. Told you, I need a visual. All right, now we have it going the right way. Making sure it's straight. Now we have it going the right way. Sorry, guys. Okay, bring it back and up over the center bar. So now we have the adjuster working the way we want it. Wrap the remaining end of the strap around the remaining rectangle ring, which we still have to set. Okay, so the remaining rectangle ring is going to be going here on this end. And it's going to go this way so that the strap end will be showing as a feature. And then we line up those rivet holes, and then we rivet. So there we have it. This is where we are right now. And I can now fit the other strap end onto here, because I'm now going to be going through the rectangle ring, and it will fit through this rectangle ring. It's big enough. So the feature will be that this strap end will be showing, that strap end will be showing, this one won't be showing, and then that one will be. So I'm going to line up my rivet holes on the strap. So we have 2 more rivet holes right there. Get my rivets. All right. So here is the finished strap right there with your adjustable strap, your grab handle, which is a really, really cool feature. So doesn't that look pretty cool? It has that equestrian look because it has that look of the rings. I'm not an equestrian person, but it has the look of the rings on the sides of the horse's bit. And then of course we have our strap ends here, rectangle ring, and see, even if it was 1 inch big instead of 3/4, it's still okay. And the strap adjuster is still okay as well. So let's just finish this off. So we now have this beautiful Meridias Crossbody Bag from Country Cow Designs. It has this beautiful flap on the front. That's a magnetic snap closure. What I wouldn't do the next time, I used foam on this. It does work out well, but I would prefer myself, I would prefer the flap to be firmer and a little more structured. It just depends on the fabric that you use. But of course, we've used Sam Fabric Creations waterproof nylon for the flap and the feature strap. But look at this beautiful detail on the underside. Doesn't that look gorgeous? With the exterior of the Emmeline Bags Prairie faux leather in wood lily color. So it's like a pumpkin orange, a burnt pumpkin orange, and it's just gorgeous. So the back of this bag has a number 5 zipper, a zipper pocket in here, and it's a good size, but you cannot put a phone in here. And then it has this gorgeous strap detail like I was showing you with the adjustable strap and the beautiful details down the side that follows along all on the underside of this bag that really gives it a classy look. You can, like I said earlier, you can use denim or anything like that to even give it a kind of like a boho look, but it has a saddlebag. It's a saddlebag shape. And then on the inside, oh, and before I forget, this flap, so one of the things also, mark your pattern, decide where you want to put your bag tag, because I wasn't, as I was following along, there was no place in the pattern that I saw where you can put your bag tag. I wouldn't, when I make this bag next, I wouldn't put my bag tag on the front. I don't want to take away from this gorgeous flap, the front of the flap, but you can really feature a really nice, if you have a feature item on your fabric that you want to showcase on the front, this is the perfect spot to do it. Or if you have an embroidery machine, you can embroider something beautiful on the front of here. And on the back, I would probably put my bag tag here. I would be able to put it here on this side of the flap, but I have to mark that in my pattern and write it down so that I have it ready for the next time I make the bag. So when you lift the flap up, okay, so I have my tea towel stuffed in here just to train the bag. All right, so on the interior, so the inside of the flap, I use that waterproof nylon from Sam Fabric Creation, magnetic snap. And then on the interior, the lining I used is a waterproof canvas. So this feels like it's a 400 denier. And then on the inside is a waterproof canvas. It's not matching because I ran out of this fabric, but it's a waterproof canvas and it feels like a 600 denier. So on this bag, it comes standard, the pattern, with a zip pocket that you can put on the back wall or the front wall of your bag. But I also chose, and I made a slip pocket for my phone. Lots of room to put my Samsung S23 Ultra phone in here. It just fits snugly. When I make a slip pocket in a bag, I make sure that it fits my phone because somebody might have a smaller iPhone and then I know it'll fit. So this just fits my Samsung Ultra, S23 Ultra. And then also, because I didn't know where to put the bag tag, I sewed my faux leather bag tag on just above the slip pocket. My faux leather bag tags are from the Spotted Zebra on Etsy, and they're from Alberta. And then also I have on the inside, you can just see it, my Made in Canada label here, sewn to the out. So this has lots of room. This is a gorgeous bag. And it's a very classy bag, but definitely the strap is challenging, clearly, because I had to redo it and I'll have to find where to edit it out. But how gorgeous is that? This makes a really nice, just let me turn you guys up so I can see you better. Okay, so here we are with the finished bag. There's the front of it. You can wear it as a shoulder bag. It makes at the shortest length of the strap, it makes a really nice shoulder bag. This grab handle is so handy to have. The rose gold hardware goes beautifully with the bag. And then of course you can make it into a crossbody bag if you want. And you can have it as long as you want. But this makes a beautiful bag. So Country Cow Designs, the Meridias Crossbody, fabulous pattern. It does get a little complicated, so follow your pattern, follow a tutorial to make sure that you get the strap done the right way. Because, you know, like I said before, I'm not perfect and I do make mistakes, and that's that's why we're all human and that's why we're all individuals. So the Meridias Crossbody, get yours now and make your bag from Country Cow Designs. and show on my Facebook group. So I'm about 20 subscribers away from being 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So on the bottom right corner of all my videos, there's a little red subscribe button. If you would be so kind, click the subscribe button. And when we get over 1,000, like today is what, August 26th, I think, 25th of 2025. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a YouTube live, and we're going to do a giveaway for whoever's present during that live for when I hit 1,000 subscribers, just as a thank you to you guys for hanging out with me and following me and putting up with the glitches I've been having with getting my Samsung tablet communicating properly with YouTube. So with that in mind, if you would like to subscribe, please click the red subscribe button on the bottom right of your screen. I'm 20 subscribers away from 1,000. So like I said, as soon as we get 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to announce going on live, and I'm going to do a giveaway. Join my Facebook group where you can post your own makes on my Facebook group. So when you're in Facebook, just search Tree60 Handmade Bags in the group and join my group. There's no approval or anything like that to join. Check out my website at www.tree60handmadebags.com, because right now until September 2nd of 2025, I have a big, huge sale on right now of my current inventory of bags that I have in stock. Huge savings. It's a back to school sale. And then when you click on the shop all button, and you go through the bags, then keep scrolling down, you will come. I also have bag making hardware for sale as well. So check out my website. If you want to contact me, you can click the contact button and send me an email, and I respond pretty quick. So anyhow, this is the Meridias Crossbody from Country Cow Designs. And thanks a lot for hanging out with me and sewing with me with this gorgeous bag. And we'll see you the next time.